Over the past year, we've been talking a lot about Me Too and the problem of sexual violence in our society. But I'm concerned we've been not listening to the right voices. Voices like those of Amelia. Amelia tweeted this last month. I'm a 15-year-old girl. I'm outraged. I'm terrified. By confirming Kavanaugh, they just told every girl that what happens to us doesn't matter. They just told every boy that they can behave however they want because they'll never face consequences. What a sad day for America. Amelia tweeted this on October the 6th, and it received 6,788 retweets and 23,320 likes. I'm going to talk to you today about girls like Amelia and why we need to pay more attention to their important media activism around sexual violence. Me Too has made visible the ways in which sexual violence and the harassment of women is endemic in the lives of so many girls and women. This also includes trans women and other folks who identify as female. We've seen some victories this year, which is great, right? Serial abusers like Harvey Weinstein have lost their jobs. Bill Cosby is in jail. And a conversation about the problem of sexual violence and misconduct has circulated around social media through personal testimonials and under the hashtag of #MeToo. But we've also been made aware of the significant work that remains. Most recently, this has been exemplified by Judge Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the US Supreme Court and the blatant disregard for the voices of survivors of sexual violence, including that of Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, who accused Judge Kavanaugh of sexually assaulting her when she was just 15 years old. Not only was Dr. Ford mocked by the US president, but commentators like Washington Times columnist Christine K. Chumley questioned her literal voice, which, according to Chumley, is like a little girl's. Evoking Dr. Ford's voice as girlish works to question her authority, because in our culture, we give very little power to girls. Despite the occasional public fawning over a seemingly exceptional girl, someone like Malala Yousafzai comes to mind, for example, girls as a social group remain disparaged. They're often characterized as petty and mean, insecure and naive. We've all seen Mean Girls, right? As Chumley reminds us, girls are not to be taken seriously. Girls' cultures, by extension, are often deemed misguided and superficial. We roll our eyes at their supposedly narcissistic selfies, even though I'm sure many of us adults have also taken selfies before. We smirk at their love for Ariana Grande. We cluck at disapprovingly at their crop tops and other attire. And I'm going to return to both Ariana Grande and crop tops later in this talk. We warn them about the dangers of spending too much time on social media. Indeed, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter could be their downfall. Just ask girls like Rehtaeh Parsons or Amanda Todd. At least this is what we're told. As a girls' media studies scholar, I want to challenge these mischaracterizations of girls and girls' cultures. Having spent close to a decade studying the ways in which girls use digital media technologies to engage as feminist activists, I want to suggest that it is teenage girls who are actually leading the fight against sexual violence, and that their activism is an important, yet often unacknowledged part of the Me Too movement. Rather than being victimized by social media, which is often what we hear, Girls are using social media to advocate for themselves, to organize and to protest. In this sense, we need to listen to the voices of girls like Amelia and take them seriously. Tessa Hill and Leah Valente are a great example of what I'm talking about. In 2014, the Ontario girls were in 8th grade, so yes, they were 13 years old, when they launched a campaign called We Need Consent, which advocated for the concept of consent to be added to the provincial sex education curriculum. The campaign correctly asserted that understanding consent is a necessary first step in the eradication of rape culture, which includes not only violent acts like sexual assault, but harmful practices like street harassment, rape jokes, and sexualized banter, as well as ideas and attitudes about girls and women that blame them for sexual violence based on things like their clothing or behavior. We Give Consent, which included a documentary film produced by Hill and Valente, as well as a Change.org petition, was a success. In 2015, then Premier Kathleen Wynne and her government revised the province's sex education curriculum to include information about consent, amongst other topics like gender identity, same-sex relationships, bullying, and sexting. We all know what happened next. When Ontario Premier Doug Ford came to power earlier this year and repealed the 2015 sex education curriculum, it was students who protested this repeal, with teenage girls like 17-year-old Rain Fisher-Kwan and 16-year-old Two-Spirit Indigenous teen Indigo Arscott leading the province-wide walkout, which saw over 40,000 students leave class on September 21st of this year. Using the social media hashtag, We the Students Do Not Consent, Fisher-Kwan, Arscott, and their peers organized a mass demonstration that blended millennial-style social media activism with traditional protest politics. In addition to demanding a return to the consent-based sex ed curriculum, the students also protested the Ford government's cancellation of a new Indigenous education curriculum in the works by the former Wynne government. By drawing these two issues together, teens are articulating a progressive social justice agenda that upsets the status quo of current educational curriculums. Girls' activism around sexual violence has also included sophisticated critiques of school dress codes. Usually these dress codes target clothing worn by girls, including skirts, tank tops, and yes, even yoga pants. In May 2015, 17-year-old Toronto teen Alexa Halkett was reprimanded by her school principal for wearing a crop top to school, which apparently violated the school's dress code. Angered by the ways in which, and this is a quote from Halkett, school dress codes teach female students that their bodies are a problem and that they should cover up, Halkett used Facebook to organize Crop Top Day, encouraging fellow students to wear crop tops to school in order to signal their opposition to the school dress code. Halkett's social media post circulated amongst her peers, we might say it went viral, and the next day, over 500 Greater Toronto Area students of all genders arrived to school sporting crop tops. Many used Twitter to post pictures of their attire, alongside the reasons why they were participating, such as this one that reads, hashtag crop top day, hashtag stand in solidarity. Dress codes encourage the sexualization of women's bodies and rape culture, hashtag not okay. Importantly, this tweet draws a connection between school dress codes, the sexualization of feminized bodies, and rape culture. My analysis of the crop top day hashtag suggests that this was a dominant trend. Many girls use Twitter to describe how they felt dress codes sexualized their bodies by suggesting that their stomachs, legs, and arms shouldn't be seen, limiting their bodily integrity in ways that boys do not experience. Some even made connections between these issues and street harassment and sexual assault. This one tweet is a great example of that. It reads, "Because my dress was not an excuse for my date to sexually assault me. Hashtag crop top day." And another, "4 dirty looks and 2 catcalls in an hour and a half on the TTC just because I was wearing a tank crop top. Disgusted, hashtag crop top day." And this last one was written by a 16-year-old girl. So these tweets frame the conversation around crop top day through personal testimonials of girls who have experienced sexual assault and harassment, connecting their experiences of rape culture to their participation in crop top day. To these girls then, crop top day gave them an opportunity to exert control over their bodies and advocate for themselves in their local communities. Wider media culture is also responding to girls' activism. Take Teen Vogue, for instance. Once a teen magazine known for its fashion, beauty, and celebrity coverage, the magazine has recently transformed to become a platform for cultural critique and social justice issues, including things like feminist politics, anti-racist activism, and LGBTQ+ rights. All of these topics informed the 2017 inaugural Teen Vogue Summit held in Los Angeles, where Hillary Clinton was the keynote speaker. I was lucky enough to attend the summit and was super inspired by the 600 young attendees who showed up ready to make progressive change. And boy, were they loud. Sexual violence is one issue that Teen Vogue has been committed to changing. Through their regular series, Not Your Fault, which aims to educate people about the epidemic of sexual assault, Teen Vogue has published articles on consent, how to tell your parents you've been raped, and the problematic nature of locker room talk. They also regularly feature stories from young survivors of sexual violence, such as the one behind me, and a recent op-ed by the 19-year-old actress Amanda Stenberg, who wrote about her own experience with sexual violence in reaction to Dr. Ford's testimony. While many adults have expressed surprise at Teen Vogue's progressive, well-reported, and sophisticated articles, their current coverage reflects a girls' culture that is activist, smart, and political. We shouldn't be surprised by this. Yes, Teen Vogue still publishes articles like, "Watch Rihanna show you how to get her glow in 3 minutes," and "Meghan Markle turned Prince Harry's puffer coat into the perfect outfit for Instagram," which I did read prior to this talk. But these pieces sit alongside other recent articles, like 6 ways you can stop enforcing the gender binary in everyday life, or how prison labor exploits incarcerated people, and invisibility is the modern form of racism against Native Americans. As Teen Vogue writer Lauren Duca famously said in a 2016 Fox News interview, "A woman can love Ariana Grande and her thigh-high boots and still discuss politics. Those things are not mutually exclusive." I'm often asked if I'm hopeful about what Me Too has brought about. After all, Bill Cosby is the exception. As we know, most abusers do not go to jail. Kavanaugh is now on the Supreme Court in the United States. And conservative pundits have doubled down on their assertions that it is in fact young men that are in trouble. Yet it's the activism of girls that I've been talking about here today. Their insistence to speak out on social media, to march in their communities, to be outraged, that makes me believe, like Amelia, that social change is possible. So I encourage you to listen closely to the voices of girls in your lives. Perhaps they are the navigators we need in this moment when adults just keep failing. Perhaps we should all want our voices to be like a girl's. Thank you.